And they work for the National Treasury, by the way. They were not talking about conspiracies here. They write an entire economic policy document and put it in public and says, we must increase the participation of the private sector. Let's put it differently. We must increase the opportunity of the private sector to make profit from public service. That's essentially what they're saying.
You're quoting verbatim.
It's not.
As a rumor.
No, it's not.
As a shwashwi.
When they published this document, there was a big war about who were the authors at the time. I remember in Parliament, Tito Mboweni, then the late, may so rest in peace. He invited some chaps from the US there. So those guys, they are your usual consultant for the IMF and the World Bank.
Let's find that name.
I'll find it for you.
Economic hitman.
Yeah.
Let's find that name.
I didn't want to go there.
Let's go there.
That's what they're called.
Yeah.
So the IMF and the World Bank appoint these guys as consultants. Essentially, they're hitmen. They come to your country and says, no, we see that you have challenges with giving everyone water. You know what? Increase the role of private sector here. Then there will be efficiency in how you deliver water and electricity. They don't say there will be more profit making for the private sector.
Yes.
That's a foregone conclusion. You don't have to wait for them to say it. You have to just appreciate and understand that's the context under which they give you this guidance. There is nowhere where they go and give this consulting advice. And in 10, 15 years, people are happy and living better off. You won't find a record of that. That's why they're called economic hitmen. They've done a lot of damage in South America. The instability around even the most basic thing, housing, water, electricity, sanitation, is because of these guys. You know, they came here, invited by Tito Mboweni. At the time when people raised it, he says, no, people suffer from inferiority complex, challenge these people, debate them if you consider yourself of an equal in terms of intellectual capacity. But that's beside the point. You have people who are driving certain ideologies here. It's not a matter of simple debate whose speech comes out sounding nice. That's not the case. The case is when they leave, that draft becomes a public policy. It's driven by the Treasury, the National Treasury. The current DG of the National Treasury, Duncan Peterson, at the time he was not the DG, he was the Deputy Director General, responsible for the Economic Policy Unit. He is the one who you were sending comments to in terms of input in that document. This is someone who has been exposed to the IMF, to the World Bank systems, and the Treasury in its entirety, in any case. It's an outfit, a remote satellite institution for the IMF and how they get to influence society, you know. So that document then gets revamped in terms of how it's positioned. So it's no longer a National Treasury document alone, which says that in these areas, ports, energy, and water, and sanitation, we must increase the participation of private sector. And I told you what that means, right? It means we must increase the opportunities for profit making. It doesn't say anything, by the way, about jobs. If you look at what it says about jobs, it's scary. They, in their review of the first phase of what I'll talk about in a second, say they want to create 1 million jobs every year from this entire economic reform that open up a whole lot of opportunities for some people to make lots and lots of billions, right? So they go and call it something called Operation Vulindlela. So Vulindlela means you're opening the way. You know, this thing of operation comes from intelligence community, like
yes.
Operation this, Operation that.
Yeah.
So these guys essentially are running an intelligence program openly. You don't design an education reform program to give people to give children food at schools and then you call it Operation Nutrition. You don't do that. So they call this program Operation Vulindlela.
Yeah.
Vulindlela means open the way. What are you opening the way for? For profit making. Because these areas in the past, the state has had monopoly of delivering them. The state had Eskom to deal with electricity security, Transnet, rail and ports, water which will come to. There is an arrangement there. There's no municipality in this country that buys water from private sector. And in that post, I give figures. It's a lot of money. Annually, it's billions. Right? So, you have a situation where they said, this is operation, meaning intelligence, Vulindlela, openly. And when I say these people laugh, why do you call it Operation Vulindlela? What intelligence are you running? Okay, that's fine. We now understand that this is an operation that they are running, and then Vulindlela. Vulindlela meaning they are opening the way for profit making, right? So in energy, they must open the way for those independent power producers so that they go and make. This thing has nothing to do with me and you. We don't need anyone to open the way for us. We just need the affordable, dependable electricity, which Eskom was giving us, by the way. It's okay, they're in this project. On the issue of water, the DG of water, Phillips, he cited in this first review of Operation Vulindlela. They say if it wasn't for Duncan and Phillips, we wouldn't be where we are. Okay, the National Treasury was able to deal with energy alone. So with Eskom is a huge debt, about over 400 billion of debt, right? And I mean, one day we'll discuss that debt and its composition and why we have it. But let's just say they have a debt of over 400 billion. They're desperate, they need money. The National Treasury says, no, okay, it's fine. We'll package something, we'll call it Eskom debt relief. But we'll give you money in bits and pieces on conditions. One of the conditions is we open up the space for private participation. Aggressively. There was intentions before, but it was not as moving as fast as they wanted it. But also, the money that we're giving you, you must pay the debt. You can't use it to build new generation capacity. Even when it's clear that what Eskom needs is additional generation capacity. We need to burn more coal. We need more hydro facilities in the dams. We need nuclear. Generate more electricity. The more electricity you generate, the more economic security as a country you have, but the more affordable it is. This is not a textbook explanation. This is the history of Eskom that we know for a fact. Right? Okay, they said no. Open that space. So Eskom had no choice. Eskom had to submit to the National Treasury conditions. And those conditions didn't make sense, by the way. How do you give Eskom so much money and insist that they must not generate new electricity? That's Duncan and his colleagues there at the National Treasury. The NC agrees to it, right? Now, with water, it was not obvious. Okay, how do you go about it? So there are water boards. There's something called, there's an act, a law